Meet my Rift hold build, the Swindler. This dumber character is great fun to play, as it lets you play as a smart bandit with a variety of skills. Before I move on to the backstory, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new here, and if you watch the video all the way through, consider sharing it on social media to help grow the channel. The Swindler grew up as a street urchin. He had no family, no money, and no home. He learnt the hard way that the world could be a harsh place, and early on he decided that the only way he would get anywhere in life was to be as brutal as the world was. He started off by bullying the weaker or younger street dwellers and taking their food or money off of them. It wasn't long before his actions gained people to his side. Many decided that it was better to help the Swindler rob others than it was to be robbed by him. As he grew into an adult, he had made a small band of followers and enough gold to move out of the city they had been living and travel. The Swindler decided to go to Cyrodiil, and several of his followers stuck with him. Once there, they stayed at a small country inn, but after a couple of days, the gold had run out and the innkeeper was demanding they leave. Not wanting to be forced to live on the streets again, the Swindler instead decided to attack the barkeep. The rest of his gang joined in on the attack, and after a small scuffle, all of the staff and other patrons had fled the inn. The Swindler then ordered his gang to search the place for weapons, and start barricading the doors and fortifying the building. He knew that there would be an attempt to retake the place, and wanted to ensure it wasn't successful. As predicted, the barkeeper was back later that day with a small militia to retake the bar. They weren't too well armed, and obviously had been expecting the Swindler and his men to all be drunk and celebrating their victory. Seeing that the gang had instead created an easily defended location, and armed themselves, they began to question retaking the inn. The Swindler had found a crossbow earlier on, and fired a warning shot towards the group, shouting out that the first man to take a step forwards would get a bolt in the head. This was all it took to send the militia fleeing, and stop any further attempt to retake the bar. For the next few years, the Swindler and his group used this bar as a base of operations to work from, and earned gold by ambushing traders in the surrounding areas. If the traders were well armed or looked dangerous, then the group would kill them with brutal efficiency and loot everything of value they could carry from their bodies. If they were regulars who didn't seem dangerous, then the Swindler would approach them and explain the situation to them. He would barter up a deal with them to take a portion of the profit they made from any deals, and in return the gang made sure no other bandits would attack them as they travelled through their territory. This meant that they both had a steady revenue stream and also would occasionally have large hauls which helped them gain weapons, armour and luxuries. Word spread of the Swindler and his gang, and eventually they had created enough enemies through their attacks and raids that people were calling for someone to step in and kill him. A bounty was put out for 100 septims, and this did send a few individuals to the pub to try and claim it, but none were successful. The bounty kept being raised every few weeks, until it was in the thousands. This led to there being several campgrounds stationed around the Swindler's Inn, filled with adventurers and bounty hunters, all waiting for the right time to strike. Feeling the net closing around them, members of the gang started sneaking off at night, and one even attempted to kill the Swindler whilst he was sleeping, but was caught in the attempt and tortured to set an example to the others. Seeing an opportunity to strike, several of the groups outside of the pub began to assault the building. The Swindler fought them off with the help from the rest of his gang. They repelled the first attack without anyone setting foot inside of the inn, but they also lost 2 men in the fight, and were left with only 6 of them, including the Swindler. Knowing that they wouldn't be able to hold out for much longer, he decided to set the inn on fire once the attackers had set foot inside of the building. As the flames spread, the gang fought their way through the fire, and fled as fast as they could. In this attempt to escape, the Swindler was left with only 2 members of his gang, and they decided to split up to evade any pursuers. He sent one of them east, the other west, and he himself headed north towards Skyrim. Although he is able to dodge the men pursuing him, he eventually runs into the authorities in terms of an ambush at Darkwater Crossing. In this ambush, he is captured and carted away to Helgen for execution. The main skills of this build are one-handed, block, archery, and speech. One-handed and block tie into each other with this build, as each of them will be used to maximise damage. In the one-handed tree, pick all the extra damage perks and the bone breaker perks to bypass armour. In the block tree, work up the right side to be able to power bash and deal plenty of damage with your shield, turning it into a secondary weapon. Archery will give you ranged damage, You don't need to sink a ton of perk points into this tree, but make sure to once again grab all of the damage perks. Speech works really well for this build. Going up the left side of a tree will let you sell anything to any vendor, including stolen goods, making it easier for you to sell your haul before the guards can take it off of you. The right side of a tree will help you convince people to take your side or intimidate them into giving you what you want. Although not helpful all of the time, they are fun perks for this character to have. The additional skills for this build are Sneak, Light Armour, Pickpocket and Lockpicking. The Sneak skill helps you work more effectively as a thief, and will also help you deal more damage at the start of combat. Getting a sneak attack in early on can help thin out crowds of enemies before you charge in. You wear light armour, and this build doesn't have a high armour value, so putting a few perks into Agile Defender can keep you alive longer. Pickpocket isn't essential for this build, as the Swindler has no issue with killing people and looting their bodies, but it is nice to occasionally be able to steal people's stuff without having to smash their skull in. Lockpick will help you to get your hands on every bit of loot in every location you go. Chances are you won't need any of the perks in this tree though, so make sure to prioritise all of the other skills before investing any perks into this one. When you assign level ups, go 50-50 between health and stamina. Obviously you want to be able to stay alive, but stamina can have a lot of use with this character, so you don't want to be shortchanged on either. The standing stone for this build will be the Shadow Stone. This will give us the power to turn invisible for 60 seconds each day. This is great for positioning yourself for an ambush or sneaking past sentries. It also adds a bit of magic to a character who has no innate magical ability. The weapons for this build will be a crossbow, the Targe of the Blooded, and the best mace that you can buy or steal. The crossbow lets you deal with enemies at range and works great for signalling an attack. Once enemies get close enough, use the combination of your mace and shield to stagger enemies and kill them in brutal strikes. The Targe of the Blooded works particularly well as an offensive shield, as it deals bleed damage to your targets. This build will wear vampire armour, boots and gauntlets, along with the Thieves Guild hood. The vampire gear looks really cool, and I feel it is a good blend of suitable armour, whilst also not looking out of place walking around town. It always bugs me if I barter with vendors whilst in a full suit of Daedric armour. It just doesn't look right. With this build, you won't have to switch into different suits for different situations. The two main factions for this build will be the Thieves Guild and the Dawn Guard. The Thieves Guild is a fairly obvious one. Joining up with the guild will let you do jobs for them to make some quick cash, and there are several other perks to being a guild member. However, the Swindler isn't going to be a devoted or even particularly good member. He's perfectly happy with killing people, which the guild frowns upon, so he regularly won't see eye to eye with them. The Dawn Guard may seem a bit of a peculiar choice for this character, as he's not morally good, and certainly isn't honourable. The Swindler will become a member of the Dawn Guard simply because vampires are bad for business. By helping eradicate the vampire threat, you will have an easier time making money, and won't have to worry so much about being randomly attacked by yet another type of enemy. You may also want to become Thane of Riften. Although this title may not seem all that fitting for this character, he will see it as another way to influence others, and make it easier for him to get what he wants. Being Thane comes with a lot of power, and will help to further his goals. This character will want to rebuild himself a group of bandits to rob blind the citizens of Skyrim, so followers play a key part in this build. I went mostly with hiring mercenaries to help me out, as it fits with the role playing of this build. People don't follow the Swindler around because they like him, they follow him around because it means they get paid. Make sure to equip your follower with good gear in order to keep them in the fight and deal plenty of damage. You will also want a pet follower. My recommendation will be some sort of war dog. Probably your best bet for this is grabbing one of the dogs in Fort Dawn Guard to follow you in your travels. In addition, I recommend using a mod to increase the number of followers you can travel with, if you have one, in order to truly create a roaming gang of bandits for you to lead. To start combat, fire off a sneak attack from your crossbow to eliminate an enemy, and once any others get close, switch to your mace and shield and charge in for the attack. To add some more depth into combat, try to position your followers at strategic places in order to trigger an ambush on unaware groups of enemies. Think about what role your follower plays. Are they a tank, range specialist, or talented at stealth? Knowing what their skills are lets you use them more effectively, so plan ahead to make the best of combat. The main goal of this build will be to make easy money without worrying about morals or ethics. Make sure to steal, murder and threaten your way around Skyrim to get what you want. Keep in mind that even though this character is a bandit, this doesn't mean he only has to take evil actions. If helping someone else helps you, then help them. Feel free to kill them once they've served their purpose though. To every one of you who has watched this video up until this point, thank you. It really means a lot. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button, and if you aren't already, subscribe to the channel. If you really enjoyed the video, you may want to turn on notifications by hitting the bell icon next to the subscribe button. This will let YouTube notify you with every new upload I have, meaning you never miss a video. I've also got a Facebook page, which I mainly post funny pictures on, so check that out if you want. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.